cap was 600 million United States dollars. But what happened was that they drew down over 974 million United States dollars. And so it was part of the slippages that we saw in the 2024 fiscal year because of the drawdown. Now, in order to reduce the risk of fiscal slippages, we need to share the amount to sector ministries, and then also make sure that all of them stay within their budget. And then also, because the cap is quite small, you need to be sure, most importantly, what they are using the money for. So you notice that in my expenditure strategy, I've said we are waging a crackdown on low impact and wasteful expenditure or recurrent expenditure. So expenditures such as the purchases of cars, such as foreign travels, workshops, and all of that, we are waging down on it. And so if they call you, find out from them or demand from them what exactly they are using the money for. And I'm not sure it is for school feeding. I'm not sure it is for the payment of LEAP. I'm not sure it's for the payment of disability allowance or something. It may be for the purchases of cars and workshops and all of the travels that I've cracked down on. And that may be the case, because certainly
so in a sense, the Ministry of Finance is performing a financial management role for the MDAs.
Yes. No, not paying financial management role, but you see, I have a fiscal anchor. The fiscal anchor says you can't do primary surplus in excess of 1.5% of GDP. How do you arrive at that?
Okay.
You need revenue and expenditure to balance it off, and loans that you've taken all. And so that alone gives you a cap that has been agreed upon. If you fail to achieve that 1.5%, you go to Parliament for censorship and you lose your job as minister. Okay, not only losing your job, but you will also be disgraced. Okay, now, how do I achieve it? Most importantly, I have 300 million. Somebody is drawing down. You are drawing down, you are drawing down, you are drawing down. I should be able to share the 300 million among the people here. But I should, at the same time, because the money is not that huge, I have to give you a limit and say that use the limit for A, B, C, D. Critical spending that will propel economic growth, or be used for the reason of which the program was
So you've explained the social programs one. The second one had to do with contractors. I'm bringing the one.
No,
so there was a story in the High Street Journal, November 6. Government books look tidy, but contractors starve. Banks absorb the shock and development stalls. This was a story written as an editorial, and basically says the country continues to work towards completing its IMF program as planned, with improvements recorded in key fiscal indicators. But then it says the audit process delayed payment to contractors. So at the time, they said the report captured approximately 90 billion in arrears. But you said it was 68 when you did the work. And then you also give the breakdown. But the point you're making is that the longer that thing takes, so even though fiscally everything looks good, you have the surplus, inflation is coming down, growth is pretty nice, contractors are really suffering. Banks are suffering. Now, the bank angle, let me give it to you. Dr. Richmond Detuahini said, without paying contractors' debts, governors' vision of low lending rates will remain just wishful thinking. Because in his view, a lot of the NPLs of the banks comes from delayed payments for particularly roads and some health projects. So how do you respond to this accusation that while you are making the books look good, you are starving other parts of the economy?
Okay, thank you very much. Bernard, we inherited 68 billion cedis. And that is what gave us the fiscal deficit of 3.9% of GDP in arrears. And so, obviously, government cannot pay 68 billion cedis in 1 year. And first, I needed to subject this arrears itself to audit, to validate them, and to be sure of the strategy that I will use to clear this arrears. Simple put, in doing so, the 2025 budget, I programmed 13.8 billion cedis for the payment of these arrears. So far, I've paid about 12 billion. have about 1.8 billion to go. I cannot exceed the 13.8 that Parliament gave to me. Now, in the 2026 budget, I've programmed 25 billion cedis, and I'll pay another 25 billion cedis, and then pay the rest 2027 and maybe 2028. And I expect that within 4 years, I should be able to pay.
So
if I had,
let me just so
yes.
you programmed 13.8 to pay in 2025.
Correct.
You've nearly finished.
Yes, 5 to pay.
So if I add that, so let's say 14 to
Yes,
25, that's 39.
39. Let's say 40.
40.
Yes.
And this 40 is out of the 68.
It's out of the 68.
And on the
But the
68, you've disallowed 10.
I've disallowed 10.
And 8 is pending.
8 is pending. But I gave a caveat that the 8 that is pending may be legitimate. But Auditor General needs some further verification to be able to.
So let's assume
deal with it.
it's 60.
Yes, that's it.
Sorry,
Even 58.
58.
Yes.
If I add the 25 to the 30, the 13, it means by end of this next year,
by end of 2020, by end of next year, to be left about 17, 18.
you would have paid about 40 billion
Exactly.
in
arrears.
Now, the other problem with the arrears issue is the concentration. We are told that there are over 3,000 contractors or companies listed in the interim report. 25 companies account for 50 billion. That's what the report is telling. That's crazy. 3,000 companies who are owed, and just 25 have almost 80%.
Yes, you may have to ask the previous administration, because they awarded those contracts and they are the ones that overly concentrated. You see, the contracts were largely given to some selected companies, and some selected companies were bringing some of the bills. And it will surprise you to know that a chunk of this 68 billion happens to be interest on delayed payment.
Wow.
Interest on delayed payment, particularly at the road sector. So out of the 23 billion cedis that I received as arrears from the Ministry of Roads, because they were awarding the contracts and contractors were working and they were not paying them, the contractors were charging interest. And so out of the 13 billion, about 9-10 billion
was just interest.
Was just interest on delayed payment, and the state had to pay.
Wow. And by the way, I'm told that 2/3 of the arrears relate to the road infrastructure sector.
Exactly, and that is why we began clearing the arrears with road sector, and so far we've paid over 5 billion cedis to the road sector.
I'll come back to roads. I have some questions for Kakra, but I just wanted to wrap up here. I look at your expenditure for 2025 compared to 2026. In 2025, your total expenditure was 293 billion.
Yes.
Now you want to, your total expenditure was 268 billion. Your total appropriation was 293. You want to increase your expenditure from 268 to 302. So appropriation goes up by over 64 billion. Somebody wants me to ask you, where are you going to get that money from?
Okay, there's growth in revenue and growth in non-tax revenue. And so you are seeing some significant growth in revenue there. If you look at the revenue numbers, you know exactly where it's coming from. And we are still meeting the 1.5% primary surplus anchor. And we have some significant Eurobond payments coming up that we have to pay, and some DDEP payment. You know, 2026, I have about 51 billion cedis that I have to pay in DDEP coupons. And so that alone is quite a lot. This year I've paid about 20, and it's jumping to about 51 billion. So that alone increases.
So let me get this straight. There's growth in revenue.
Yes.
To cater for this jump in expenditure,
Exactly.
You've removed about 1.9% from the VAT based on your recalibration from 21.9 to 20. When we read the BOG's report in September, it says some of your revenues had been affected by the currency's appreciation.
Correct.
So I think the ones that depended on foreign exchange, so either the
oil revenue
and the royalties.
Good.
And you are still sure that you are able to raise enough money for a delta of 64 billion in appropriations. You're able to do this.
Yes, revenue. It won't be one to one. It won't be one to one, but certainly some of the expenditures that are going up, and also it's not counted as part of the primary balance because they are interest.
No
The
problem.
primary balance on commitment basis excludes interest, and so it may be total expenditure, but it's not hitting the primary balance on commitment basis because you are paying the interest.
Okay.
Remember that if you want to do critical assessment, then look at primary expenditure and compare it to the primary balance, and then we can look at it. But the total expenditure is going up largely on account of interest. The Eurobond next year, I have to pay about 1.4 billion United States dollars because the first quarter in January, I have to begin mopping up, and I'm paying 700 and something million United States dollars first quarter, and then the third quarter, I think in July, I pay another 700 million.
Okay. Let's take it one by one and let's wrap up this, please. 2025, you allocated 76 billion cedis for employee compensation.
Correct.
This year it's gone up to 90. So that's 14 billion more.
Correct.
Goods and services, you allocated 6.9, which is almost 7 billion. It's gone up to 13, a delta of about 6. Capex is the biggest. You allocated 3 billion last year. You've gone to 57 billion.
Exactly.
Interest was 64 billion last year. It's come down to 57 billion. And then grants to statutory funds and other energy payments, 48 has gone up 63. So I have two in one question. Your capex is jumping by over 22 billion.
Correct.
It's serious.
Yes. And
in one calendar year.
The savings that we have made, particularly from the energy sector, is what we are channeling it to capex. For example, this year, I'm spending 28 billion cedis in energy sector shortfalls. Next year, I'm spending 15 billion cedis. The delta gives me over 10 billion. Okay, I think about 13 billion. Where do I send it? I send it to capex. And so capex goes up so that we can develop and be able to grow. And you know the nature of our roads. You know the nature of our classrooms and all.
Okay.
So this is exactly what we are trying to do.
Capex is roads, and I'll come back to roads.
Yeah.
There's a question from Labour. In the recently concluded minimum wage negotiations on the national minimum wage and base pay, basically they said they agreed for a 9% increase because the government made certain promises that significantly influenced the acceptance of this 9%. Among these promises was the commitment to employ some numbers in the public sector, implying that the existing backlog would be addressed and included in the current public sector workforce. However, upon listening to you reading the budget, there did not appear to be any allocation for such an initiative. So they want you to confirm that you...
So let me put it this way. As you rightly said, you looked at the previous year compensation at 77 moving to 90.
Yeah.
The difference is not only the 9%. It is also because we have made allocation for some recruitment, including about 10,000 staff that will be recruiting for the security service, of which, unfortunately, they started something and some people have to even lose their lives, sadly. But this is the situation we find ourselves. So the 90 billion that you see includes inclusion of some.
So you are assuring organized labor that, and let's just be clear, is this backlog the health and the education? Because your deputy told me a few weeks ago that there was a backlog of, I think, 75,000.
It's incredible. We have backlog dating back 2021. People have gone to the nursing and teacher training college up to 2021, and they've not been employed up to date. And the two put together is about 150,000.
And are you going to absorb all the 150,000 people next year?
No. We can't. I mean, the budget 90 billion cannot accommodate that much. I'm not too sure how much it will be. I think it's a sector-specific question.
The reason I'm pushing this is that we already know that 47% of your tax revenue goes to public sector people.
Correct.
This is, I'm sure, wages and salaries and possibly goods and services together.
Correct.
That's a lot already. And these people are less than 1 million people.
Exactly.
These people are not the ones who are producing anything necessarily in terms of private sector. You are giving them 47% of our tax revenue. And now they are asking that you employ more people.
You see, we need to balance the recruitment and providing public good, as well as growing the economy. There are some essential workers that certainly you will have to employ. You need the doctors, you need the nurses, you need the teachers to teach our children and all. But you have to do it carefully, because if you employ nurses, for example, you need to have a hospital for them to go into the hospital and take care of people's health. And if you employ a doctor, you need to have a hospital together with equipment so that they can do proper diagnostics and be taking care of us. If you employ a teacher, you need to build a classroom and all. And so you always have to have a fine balance between the people you employ and the provision of public good and all that you have to spend on. And so 47%, I agree, is very high. The average is about 33%. Today we're at 47%. Now, if government can also not say that we are not employing, so you have to employ strategically. You have to employ sustainably. And so you will have to make some provision to employ some. At the same time, you need to generate the jobs, particularly at the rail sector. And that is what this budget seeks to do. We've made allocations to sectors that can create the jobs to support and augment the effort of government, because government alone can't do it. In most countries, government does 15-20% of the employment, and then the private sector does the rest, because the private sector employment is the most sustainable, not the government sector. CTFM here that I am today, I'm sure the people you've employed here, government of Ghana can't employ them. And look at what the media, for example, is doing. All the staff you have here, they're on your payroll, not on government payroll. And so always and always, the private sector should be the ones that should take the bulk of this workforce that we will have to create.
This is the City Breakfast Show. Our guest is the Minister of Finance, Forson. A lot of questions have come already. I'm trying to read some whilst I take the ones we've planned to ask. I'm here with Francisca and Caleb. Francisca has a couple of questions on roads, but I notice people keep sending questions about arrears. So let me just ask a couple so that you can reiterate the point. So this one says, Bernard, please ask the minister what is his reason of not paying the contractor who has taken loans to execute the Gamma project since January till now, while the money is there sitting in the World Bank account in the BOG. You understand this question?
No, that one doesn't come to me. I'm not the one who pays that, because if the money is in the BOG account, it has left the Ministry of Finance. All what I have to do, at my level, I give permission for disbursement before the money comes to Ghana. When it comes to Ghana, it is not. It's out. So
you're talking about Gamma project?
No, it's out of my hand. It's at the sector ministry, and it's the sector ministry that has to deal with it.
Please ask the finance minister to touch on Cocoa Board. He didn't talk a lot about it. Any updates on the amortization? Indeed, there's a Cocoa Board question I will ask in addition. Another person who is in the private sector, when he saw the artwork, said there is you haven't basically his business is collapsing because he hasn't been paid, and I think it's a Cocoa Board related liability. So let me add that to this Cocoa Board question.
Okay, Bernard, while you find the question.
Yes, let me read it.
Okay, great.
Please ask the minister about payments to legitimate creditors who have been waiting for years. We are suffering. People are accusing the ministry of hoarding their cash. They need to expedite their processes, especially in relation to Cocoa Board.
But the Cocoa Board is Ministry of Finance don't pay Cocoa Board liabilities. His Cocoa Board is on its own. It's a parastatal. They obviously take their revenue. But you see, Bernard, there's something.
Could it be that people are using your name or your ministry's name as a
Ministry of Finance don't pay Cocoa Board. Cocoa Board, Ministry of Finance, Cocoa Board contractor. When they award contract, they have to pay their contractors and not the Ministry of Finance. If Ministry of Finance sit there and all what we do is to look for money and give to parastatals to pay for contracts that they do not have money for, of which they are awarded, then we are going to crash as a country. But Bernard, let me say this. The previous government just awarded contracts left, right, and center without sources of revenue to pay for these contracts. The Cocoa Board CEO inherited 20 billion cedis worth of arrears, 32 billion cedis worth of arrears. He cannot pay in 1 year. He doesn't have the resources. Cocoa Board cannot even go out there and borrow today because of their balance sheet. So how is he supposed to be paying that? When they awarded a contract, some of them did not even follow due processes. Some of them are just resurfacing. Some of them are over bloated. Some of the contracts, for example, if you go to Cocoa Board, they have awarded contracts in excess of their capacity. As we speak, they have over how many? 3,000 containers at the Thermoport for jute sacks that they will not need for the next 5 years. What is going on here? And that to the extent that a new government has come and all of a sudden the new government should go for a loan and just pay this and crash the country? No. They have to plan. And first of all, accept the liabilities and have an arrest clearance plan to pay this. Because we inherited a mess. What we inherited, for example, at the Ministry of Finance, at the government level, 68 billion cedis. Can we pay in 1 year? No, you cannot. You need to, even before you decide to pay, you need to first validate this arrest. And after validating the arrest, you have to have an arrest clearance strategy so that you can pay them gradually. But that is why I'm saying that to curb that, we have introduced the commitment authorization. If you do not have a budget for something, don't award the contract. We will only give you the authorization to award a contract if you have a budget. And knowing very well that when you do the work and you bring the invoice, the Ministry of Finance and Government of Ghana will be in a position to pay. Otherwise, people will be working and no one will have their payment because there is no money for it.
Yes. Welcome again and good morning, Honorable Minister, Uncle Ato. I have a question related to the private sector. I come from a family that does business and we manufacture and export crafts and furniture. It's called Tekura. Now, one of our biggest challenges is not just us, but also other exporters, pottery, even food, is the requirement that we have from the BOG of generating an LOC. This is this is the letter of commitment. So the BOG requires that when we log on to the ICOMS, we get that, we sign that.
For export?
For exports. And it's sort of tracking the earnings, the foreign earnings that we'll get. The challenge is that once after shipment, you have a time period within which you must make that declaration of your earnings.
Right.
Often 60 days. If you don't do that, then your proceeds are blocked by the Bank of Ghana. And the challenge is that often depends on the buyer, the foreign buyer you're selling to and receiving your earnings from. And over the years, it's been a back and forth with the GRA, and exporters have lost money. They've lost, for those who export yams, for instance, they've lost their earnings because the money is blocked and they're not able to get their monies. And it's a huge frustration for those in the export industry.
Kakra, thank you very much for bringing this to my attention. I'm hearing this for the first time. I know of the ICOM system. I know of the IDF dealing with imports, but I have no idea about the LOC. And then I'm happy you've brought this to my attention because you need to make it simple.
How many days is it?
60 days.
And so I'll pick it up with the governor. And
I'm told the BOG has extended it to 120 days.
120 days.
That's what I'm being told.
Okay, but I'll reach out to the governor.
Caleb, let's take a couple of questions from the side coming through. We've not finished with our own, but we feel like there's a lot of people who have questions for you.
Yeah.
So Caleb, let's read a couple.
Exciting budget you read yesterday. It has a lot of potential to change the economic trajectory of Ghana and create quality and meaningful jobs. Okay, this is a comment, but it says, tell us how the COVID-19 levy was used. That's a question. Okay. Please ask the minister when they are going to pay the scholarship secretariat to clear the outstanding arrears for the UK schools and the stipends for the scholars. Could you send that from Kumasi? Bernard, I want to humbly ask the Honorable Minister of Finance if he has induced a one-party state. I ask you because the budget was like birthing a new Ghana, the Ghana we all want. God bless him. Richard sent that from Dan Soman. Okay, CBS team, can you find out from the minister what specific programs are being implemented to make Ghana and Ghanaians more receptive to data? There is a lot of talk about data-driven economy, but if citizens are not engineered to actually begin looking at issues from a data or statistical point of view, it's useless. Jay sent that from Laboni. Okay. Good morning, Bernard. And to the Honorable Minister, please ask him if they would complete the almost quarter of a century Accra Kumasi dualization project for us before they start the expressway. Those of us who use that stretch are really suffering. Pabite sent that from Nkari.
Okay, so let's let him deal with the Pabite question from Nkari. He wants to know, a lot of people have sent a question around that, whether, indeed, there's one question which says we have 3 interchanges on the Accra Kumasi that have not yet been finished. That would you be minded to finish those before you begin this ambitious Accra Kumasi Expressway?
Okay, thank you. We have not abandoned the work on the Accra Kumasi. The minister for what is name,
Roads.
my brother Kwame, still has has asked contractors to continue the work, and those that we inherited, we've paid, and contractors who are minded are going to site, and they have asked them to go to site and continue the work they are doing. So I want to use this medium to assure everyone that government has no intention to abandon that work, and will continue. The only problem we have is that we've seen variations of cost estimate that has doubled the cost of construction, and the minister is looking into it.
The question is, why not focus on completing because there are 3 major bypasses under construction, Bunsu and beyond Konongo. Why not focus on completing these bypasses and also closing the gaps between the bypass, so that at least we can have dual carriageway from Accra to beyond Konongo before you start this ambitious Accra Kumasi
Let me
Expressway?
put it this way: the two are not the same. One is a trunk road, one is an express road. We've never had an express road in Ghana, and what we have, as we shown yesterday, was not just a road. It's more than a road. It is opening up a country, setting up industrial hubs, building access to new industrial enclaves and all. So people just see it as a road, but it's more than a road. It links the country in a way and build businesses along the corridor and connect the two together. Express road, you will pay. Trunk road, largely you won't pay that much. And even if you pay, it's a normal toll. But this one, if you pay higher than a toll. So the two are not the same. And anytime you use an express road, you have to have an alternative route. The current road is the road, and the expressway will be.
So is there financing for the Accra Kumasi Expressway?
We are working on a financing. They'll say, what do you call it? Engineers estimate already out, but because they are going to go on tender, I cannot put it out because.
Are you looking for domestic financing or foreign loan?
We are looking for domestic financing. I have very little appetite for doing domestic.
So you haven't finished Accra Kumasi Road, yet you are going to go into the domestic market. So this looks like bonds.
Let me put it this way. We have budgeted 30 billion cedis in the budget
for big push,
for big push, of which this is part of it.
Okay. So there's some money already.
There's some money already allocated.
Do you have a sense of the length of time it will take?
This is 3 years, and President Mahama.
You will do an Accra Kumasi Expressway in 3 years.
Yes. President Mahama will finish this before he leaves office.
Atu, the Accra Kumasi road has been in construction for the past 7 or 8 years.
Can you find out how much money they allocated to the program?
We discussed this on the last program. They took a loan of 750, but we are told that it was for different things. Okay. But they had paid about 100 for that.
Okay.
And so they haven't finished.
It. And that's how much they've spent on that road. And you don't. You see, announcing a package is different from allocating resources to the package. And so you may announce something, the intention will be there, but if you do not have resources,
so are you saying that
that's
of the 30 billion big push, some of that will go into the Accra Kumasi Expressway this year?
Exactly.
Serious?
Yep.
And you'll finish it in 3 years?
Correct.
195 kilometers.
Yes. 198.
198 kilometers. You'll finish it in 3 years.
Correct.
6 lane.
Yep.
Through
bi-directional.
Add there, so
yes, it's a new alignment. It's a new alignment.
Ofuase Achimoda.
Correct.
Bosomtwi to Kumasi. Serious?
It will be done.
There's another road question for you.
Yes, we want to find out about the Accra Cape Coast Takoradi Highway. The idea
that's our road.
That's our road. But it's taking a bit of time.
Yes.
But I'd like to inquire about ring roads that could be alternatives. For instance, over the weekend I used that road when I went to my hometown on my mother's side. But the question is that we decided to branch at Swedru and then go through the Bojoase. Very terrible road, it's rocky. But then it provided an access for us. Why do you have that in mind to make those ring roads available as well, to work on them?
Okay. Kakra, our road infrastructure is in a bad state. That is a fact. We need to strategically improve on our road network. But there's a caveat. You can't take on too much, more than your ability to pay. Otherwise, you will end up awarding 111 hospitals and finish none. So what we are trying to do is that, based on the budgetary provisions we've made and the awards of contract that we've made under the big push, we want to finish them first. And then we'll come to phase 2. And then after phase 2, we'll tackle also another set. Finish, then you go to phase 3, and gradually you know that that's it. I think what we'll be doing going forward will be that we'll announce phase 2, phase 3 ahead. So motorists and citizens will know that my road is part of phase 2, my road is part of phase 3. That will calm their nerves. But as we speak, phase 1 is what we are focusing on. Government has a plan to build the orbitals, the Accra orbital, we will call it the Accra Outer Ring Road. But that will be part of phase 2. And then I'm sure we need to, and that is why the president said he wants to make sure that the big push that he's cutting short on, he can finish it in 24 months. And after 24 months, he can launch the second phase.
So this Swedru of phase 2.
There's actually a follow-up there from Obo Ejumako Ekutuase. Ask the minister if the Mankesim to Ejumako to Swedru to Nsaba to Nsawam will feature in next year's budget. I think that's the ring road point.
Yes. So that again is my road, and that I know is part of what has just been awarded, and the contractor will go to site soon.
Great.
Ben, I have one question for the minister. Why are we trying to give an import duty exemption of around $10 million to a company on a day he said they were removing VAT exemptions?
Okay, let me put it this way, Bernard. We are not giving import duty exemption.
Mm-hmm.
What was done was that we inherited a contract that the previous administration signed.
Mm-hmm.
It has to do with what we call ITAS, Integrated Tax Administration System. So when we inherited a contract, it was also a prior action under the IMF program that Ghana implement an integrated tax administration system for the domestic tax. And MPP has signed a contract, the contractor has mobilized and all.
Mm-hmm.
They failed to go to Parliament to get parliamentary approval in line with Section 33 of the Public Financial Management Act. So I first sat and renegotiated a contract, brought the contract down from 54 billion to 44 billion and saved the taxpayer about $10 billion. Took it to Cabinet, got approval, and I need to take it to Parliament for approval before we can begin the implementation of the contract. It is an inheritance. It was signed, and you need to rectify it for future before you can implement it. And that is why we are taking it to Parliament.
Somebody wants me to
in any case, we have rather saved the taxpayer $10 million United States dollars.
Will you subject the Accra Kumasi Expressway to the yet to be created value for money office?
Correct. It depends on Parliament. Parliament will have to assist me to quickly get that approved, and as soon as that is approved,
will the value for money office be under the office of the president or to be in Parliament?
Will be at the Ministry of Finance.
But that becomes self-serving, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't.
For independent analysis.
No,
in the past, we were using companies like Crown Agents.
Yes.
Who were outside of their jurisdiction.
Correct.
If you want to do independent value for money, don't you think Parliament is a better place?
Okay, so we looked at models across the world. We looked at the Canadian model, the UK model, the Australian model, the UK model, the US model, the Australian model. None of them sits at Parliament or their legislature arm of government. No, none of them has that structure. It is, some are an office at the Ministry of Finance, some independent with the Ministry of Finance oversighting on, and that is the structure.
You know my problem?
Yes.
You as Ministry of Finance has just said you want to do an Accra Kumasi Expressway.
Yes. No, it's not Ministry of Finance doing it. It's the,
yeah,
it's
but
the
you believe it?
Yes, I believe it.
So if Bernard Avle is the head of Value for Money Office, and my minister has just announced a grand project that
I announced it on behalf of government.
Good. So will I have the balls
yes.
to say this is not value for money?
Yes. They have
You
to.
sure?
They have to. That is why they are there.
That he will, a
No,
technocrat
you see-
in value for money office will say
You see-
the president's decision to do Accra Commercial Expressway is not value for money, so they should stop.
No.
And you will listen
You
to
see,
it.
Let me. The value for money office is not there to say that this project is not viable.
Uh-huh.
It is there to assess the cost and to make sure that the cost is in tandem with best practices and the project is not overloaded.
Fair
or
enough. So that
overpriced.
means the project has already been agreed.
Okay, so you agree on the concept
Uh-huh.
and then you subject it to value for money. Currently, we do value for money.
But what if you agree
Crown
to
agent
a
does
concept?
not.
I get you. So
Yes.
then the value for money office is very limited, because I think you should be able to say this proposed project doesn't make sense. It should be the scope of the value for money office's mandate should be able to say, Minister, it's a great idea to say you are going to do Accra Commercial Expressway, but when we look at everything else, it doesn't give value for money. Don't do it.
Oh, no. They see that advice can also come because you remember you do value for money before award of contract.
Uh-huh.
So if the technicians, after assessing
Mm.
and come to realization that the cost does not make sense
Yeah.
and the state cannot afford, they can equally advise.
You are sure of this?
Yes, they can
Let me
equally
do a
advise.
question from Apia
Yes.
Adomako, CATS
Yes,
International. It's
go
a bit
ahead. I
long.
have
You
that.
have it. Caleb,
Yes.
read it for us, please.
So this is coming from Apia Kusia. Yesterday, the minister, that's you, Ankrato, you stated that ECG's monthly collection had increased by 90% from December 2024. We need to place these numbers in proper context. Now, we know from the Auditor General and PwC reports that ECG had been underreporting its revenue and underpaying the cash waterfall mechanism by about 500 million Ghana cedis every month. In December 2024, ECG declared that about 1 billion cedis was paid to the cash waterfall mechanism. When you add the underreported amount, ECG's actual monthly revenue moves above 1.5 billion Ghana cedis. We also know that tariffs have gone up by almost 18.34% this year. So ECG's month-by-month collection shows a sharp rise from May, driven mainly by the tariff decision of the PRC. So the question is, with the tariff increase and the full disclosure of revenue to the cash waterfall mechanism, and given the earlier underreporting, is the claim of a 90% rise in ECG revenue not overstated? This is coming from CATS International and the Center for Environment.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I'm happy he made reference to Auditor General's remark that there was some 500 million that was, for some reason, not reported. But where was the money going in the first place? Was it classified as revenue? Certainly no at the time. ECG may have kept it and they may have used it for something else. But now today they are putting it in the same account for cash waterfall mechanism. So it's revenue that is available to pay IPPs and to support the system. That's 500 extra. Yes, tariffs may go up, but tariffs going up doesn't mean it translates to revenue. Someone must collect the revenue, and ECG is collecting revenue. And I will not stop publicly praising the management at ECG. He is doing an excellent work, and that man must be supported to do the work that he's doing.
But I think
the place has changed, and something is happening.
You are correct, but Apia's question is suggesting that if you say that in a calendar year they've increased their revenue by 90%, it suggests they are doing some excessive revenue mobilization, whereas it's possibly the same revenue but the classification and where they put it.
No.
Because it says that they were underreporting it.
So
And now they are just reporting
The
it.
question is, if they were collecting it, where was the revenue? Was it available for the use?
But the money was being
cash waterfall?
collected.
That's
Because we need to
another question.
we need to jump between more revenue coming in, either through more efficient collection system or higher tariffs. He's saying that they were collecting the money, but they were not putting it in the cash waterfall. Maybe they were using it to do other projects.
But that is illegal in the first place.
Yes, but whatever they did, because I think we want to have a proper position of whether ECG's revenue collection as an institution has improved. And the 90% may overstate it if you look at the point he's making. That's what he's trying to say.
So I do not think it's been overstated for us. And you recognize that when I made that statement, I linked it to the cash waterfall mechanism and said that they were reporting 900 million an average per month into the cash waterfall as their revenue. Today it has improved by 90% to about 1.7 billion.
Okay.
And for us, the key point here is how much they were paying as revenue into the cash waterfall mechanism for the purposes of paying the IPPs, of which today it has more or less moved from 900 to 1.7. And as a result of that, we are able to stay current in paying the IPPs. That, for me, is significant and needs to be commended.
You said something that worried me. Paragraph 267.
Okay.
Actually, I think yes. No, I'll deal with that and I'll come to the point about tapping oil savings for green projects. So first, you said that your strategy to re-enter the domestic bond market, you will begin issuance of domestic infrastructure bonds, but that you will reduce dependence on short-term treasury instruments,
Correct.
lower rollover risk, and create fiscal speculative investment. So basically, I say you don't want to borrow from outside too much, and domestically, you don't want to borrow short-term. You want to borrow long-term, which is good. But you said somewhere else that the amount of monies we are getting from our petroleum revenues by saving them outside, we're gaining just 1% over many years. So you believe that we should invest these petroleum savings in commercially viable green energy projects. But these are heritage funds that we are keeping for. Why do you want to touch that money for?
So
for
let me put it
projects?
this way. Bernard, Ghana's oil wealth must work and bring returns. It is yielding an average of 1%. We are investing in quadruple A-rated instruments. We give the money to IMF and the World Bank, and the U.S. Treasury and the like. So, for example, you lend the money to World Bank and IMF, and in return, maybe you give it to them at 0.5%, and they'll come and give it to you at 5% or something. Okay. Now, and then you pay that same debt, and then they will use it and then bring it back. The question is, don't you have other instruments that you can use these same resources and earn more? If you look at the Petroleum Revenue Management Act, Section 27, it empowers the Minister of Finance to review this instrument every 3 years. Strangely, no one has reviewed this instrument in the last, since 2011, almost 14 years now. Nobody has reviewed this instrument, and Ghana has been losing resources. I think the time has come for us to review those instruments. This is because we, today, if you look at sovereign wealth funds such as the Saudi Arabian Sovereign Wealth Fund, the Dubai Sovereign Wealth Fund, even the Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund, Kuwaiti Sovereign Wealth Fund, and others, about 25% of them invest also domestically and identify projects that can be self-financing.
Good.
And so you look at a project like, let me talk about, let's say, the car power plant that were brought into Ghana. The last time we're looking at the numbers, and we noticed that they've been able to turn around approximately 3 times. Their investment has paid up about 3 times, and some of them are making very, very good money. So what I'm trying to say is that there are other projects that we can look at.
But
domestic projects and other things,
my
and it
worry
is
is that
important for
the
us to deal
energy
with this.
sector, you yourself have described as the biggest risk to the economy. Debt to IPPs has been very big. Some of the state-owned energy parastatals are loss-making.
Okay.
How do you convince me that I should believe you when you say you will take our Petroleum, Ghana Heritage Fund and Stabilization Fund and you will invest it in commercial green projects?
Okay.
The energy sector's track record of managing itself is very poor.
Okay.
Partly because even the tariffs you set are politically set.
Okay.
So a lot of these entities may not be viable.
Okay.
Even though they are giving us 1% or whatever percent, they are still stable and they are there.
Okay.
So why should I trust that a politician should touch our heritage fund or stabilization fund and invest it in a sector that is so chaotic like energy?
Okay, so again, let me come in once again. The energy sector is indeed a very big risk for the economy, in the sense that if you have unstable and unreliable power, you can't power your economy. And there was the need for you to power your economy sustainably. And so government needs to take action and to ensure that we can power the sector well, to drive the growth that we need. Today, we also agree that the sector has challenges, particularly at the distribution end. Government has taken a decision to reform the ECG. Even before we complete the reforms, we have seen some positive news in terms of revenue coming in, and we are more or less reforming the sector. Government intends to complete the private sector participation of the ECG, and we have already announced that Cabinet has approved it. Transaction advisors procurement is on the way, and all. That is the last bottleneck left, but it remains the most profitable sector of our economy. Maybe you may have to look at it. It remains the most profitable sector, commercial sector. Why is it that VRA is not going down? VRA is still making some good money. Power generation remains the most profitable sector. And there's a lot of resources.
books are not the best. They are just there because you have a replacement for them.
But there's a lot of resources. The IPPs are making a fortune. They are making money. You need to power the economy. You need to generate
there was even talk recently of having to restructure some of the IPP debts.
No. It's government that has to. It's government that owes them. Yes. So if government behaves, I'm not saying that government
never
doesn't
behaves.
So you see, so let me put it this way. You see, Bernard.
Yes.
Put it this way. You have the government inefficiencies as one, and then you have the companies and their profitability as one. The fact that the government is inefficient doesn't mean the companies are not making profit. The companies are making profit, and that's why I'm saying that sector is one of the most profitable.
Companies that are owed to the extent that LP Mapetogbo will have to do a press conference and say if they are not paid, they'll put up their plant. You remember?
Of course, you've worked and they've generated invoice. You have to pay them.
This is my argument. The principal person paying for our use of power is government.
Correct.
And over the past 30 years, the government of Ghana has not shown that it pays on time. Why do you take our Heritage and Stabilization Fund money to invest in an energy project for a government with a poor track record like this?
Oh, don't. I recognize that there are challenges. We inherited the 1.4 billion United States dollars. Okay, and today we are paying, isn't it? We have renegotiated this debt. We've already paid $300 million. We are paying $344 million this next year, and we'll pay the remaining $300 million or so by next 2027, and we hope to end it there. We have identified the challenge we have in the energy sector, particularly at the downstream, the distribution sector. Today, government has taken a bold decision to unlock it and be able to deal with it. The new management in place at ECG has shown early signs of doing well. We are not stopping there. That private sector participation needs to be completed. And I believe that if we're able to do that, we'll unlock that challenge, and that sector needs to. Because the truth also remains that without a good energy sector, you can power your economy.
We'll come back to that later. I'm sure there will be another.
In the same vein that government is not paying them, a lot more of them want to enter the system. And if you think it is not profitable, these businesses will still come into the sector. No, the businesses are coming to the sector because it's profitable, even though some payments are not going to them. And that is what has attracted them to come to the sector.
There was a question about
within the energy
scholarship
space.
Secretariat and stuff.
Okay, yes,
I think you didn't answer.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me answer that. We've given some money to the Scholarship Secretariat. And the Scholarship Secretariat, I think Director General also came out and explained that last year, September last year, a good amount of people were sent abroad to study without recourse to the budget. And so we should support. We have subsequently transferred some money to the scholarship secretariat. But he says to me that they've sent a team to validate the claims, whether they are legitimate or not. Some traveled in the name of scholarships to go and study, but when they went, they did not study, and the payments, they were just there and just receiving the money, and so they are trying to validate. So as we speak, I think they have some resources to be able to make some payment for those legitimate ones.
The flagship of government from the campaign was 24-hour economy.
Correct.
Listening to you carefully, you allocated 110 million
For the secretariat.
I see.
Yeah.
How are they supposed to? So what are they supposed to do?
Okay, so 24-hour economy.
Because I'm asking because it looks like your allocation should match your priority.
Okay, correct. And that's exactly what we did. So 24-hour economy secretariat is there to design the policy and ensure its implementation. The policies as designed are private sector driven and private sector led. And it is not them that will, for example, spend the resources to do it. It's private sector. And so if you notice when I made statement, that particular statement, I linked it to what GIF and DBG, for example, will be doing. So if they, for example, are able to identify Project A and link that project to Ghana Infrastructure and Investment Fund or the Development Bank Ghana or the Exim Bank, resources would then, private sector resources would then be given to those businesses for those businesses to be able to drive. And so the allocation to the businesses will not come from the 24-hour secretariat, but will come from the banks, Exim, DBG, and GIF, Ghana Infrastructure Investment Bank. The 110 million Ghana cedis that you see is for the running of this efficient management of this activities of the 24-hour economy secretariat.
I'm taking you back to something I asked you first.
Yes.
The headline was government books look tidy, but contractor staff, banks absorb the shocks, development stalls. I was looking at the central bank's September 2025 summary of economic activity. Construction sector. Activity in the construction subsector, proxied by the volume of cement sales, declined by 10.7% year on year. In July 2025 to 212,000 tons, down from 238.
Correct.
However, on month-on-month basis, cement sales increased by 3.1%. Cumulatively, cement sales improved. Then they said the relative decline in total cement sales year on year was due to a moderation in construction activities during the review period. Then they also used passenger arrivals. Passenger arrivals also declined by 8.5% in year-on-year terms, and they give the figures. Now, then they say cumulatively for the first 7 months, passenger arrivals dropped slightly. Now, the reason I'm giving these two, construction, you yourself know, is one of the most important for job creation. Some people blame your fiscal policies for the struggles of the construction sector. So arrears payment and all of those. Of course, this data is up to July, right? But there's a sense in which the tightening is potentially going to sacrifice growth in the future, which is why the construction sector, and again, the passenger travels, because again, for many years, that has always gone up. Are you not concerned that this your tightening thing you're doing, there will be an unexpected consequence of sacrificed economic growth in the coming years?
I wish there's a choice, but unfortunately there's no choice. Because where we are going, if you do not tighten, you will crash again. And so something certain will have to give. You live in a country where your debt was unsustainable at high risk. You've just given haircuts because you cannot pay your debt. Your fiscal anchor is unsustainable because it's what is leading to the debt. And it has obviously caused a lot of problems, inflation, interest rate, and all to the private sector. And businesses are shutting down. To reverse it, you need to tighten. Recognizing that, yes, for sure, something will got to give. This construction that you are talking about is going to pick up in style. Because, for example, you recognize that in the budget we have allocated 30 billion cedis for the big push. It is nothing but construction. It is nothing but for asphalt and cement. It is for the road sector, 30 billion. Aside that 30 billion, we have allocated 4.4 billion cedis to the Ministry of Roads. We have allocated another 3 billion cedis for Road Maintenance Trust Fund. We have also allocated 888 million Ghana cedis, obviously for the purposes of building agricultural roads. So you can see the quantum of money going to the construction sector, particularly the road sector. So it may have contracted in the first half of the beginning of this year. Clearly that is the case because it was a new government. Things need to change. We were validating claims. We were making sure that jobs are being done properly and all. So it was slow, but it's going to pick up in style, this time targeted. And it is being targeted to growth poles, and building these roads will build a country. And so that will happen. But as for the tightening, it is a necessary evil. You cannot run away from the tightening. Something needs to be done. We need to return to a moderate debt, risk of debt distress, which we are there today, because of the tightening. So all of this needs to be done, and the private sector must benefit from it. Today, the private sector is breathing again. You can see inflation coming down, lending rates dropping, and all. Until you do some of these basic things and reduce the debt and all, and government's ability to support the social sector, this country cannot grow.
All right.
And spend right.
Let's take the last set of questions from Caleb.
Bernard, I'll bring in one on electric vehicles, the levies and duties on same. We're trying to go zero carbon emissions and all of that. But from the industry players, I'm learning we have about 52% charges or duties on electric vehicles. I'm sure this has come to your attention. There's some position on that.
So I cannot relieve all the taxes in day one. And so gradually we may get there. This budget, what I did was to review the VAT Act, of which I promised beginning of this year, and I've delivered on that. I've given back about 6 billion cedis to the people of Ghana, both households and businesses. Aside that, I've reduced business costs by 5%. And I believe that business cost that we've been able to reduce will go a long way to support businesses to be able to make more profit. And then obviously when they make the profit and declare big dividend, I can get to tax them. And then they will also be able to now employ more and plow back some of the amount to support their businesses. We have also reduced increase the VAT registration threshold from 200,000 to 750,000 by exempting small businesses from the collection and payment of VAT. And so that has also been done.
Can I just throw in how that transition will pan out? So for businesses, some businesses may fall within the 750. Correct. Those who would have been in the 200,000, if they were already registered, how will they transition?
We would deregister them.
Stress-free?
Yes, stress-free.
Okay, yesterday the minister spoke to more than half of the population, and I represent that population, which is women. You talked about the Women Development Fund.
Bank.
Yes, the fund for the Women Development Bank. And you also talked about recapitalizing ADB and NIB, which is great news for businesses. Businesses are happy about that, as well as the tax reforms. But the question for me is, how will that translate into efficient lending for women-led or generally SMEs in Ghana?
Yeah. Okay. Excellent question, Kakra. The Women Development Bank will be formed early next year. I have been privileged to see the kind of strategy they've developed. It's impressive. I cannot talk about it in detail here. His Excellency, the Vice President, is leading the formation of the bank. And early next year, when the bank will be officially adored, she'll come out and speak around it, and I'm sure you'll be happy.
Oh,
and
yes,
the details.
I'm from a woman-led business. My mom started our business, so we are very interested in that.
But there are more questions on sports. In the area of sports, can the minister tell us why we are allocating 200 million Ghana cedis for 3 new stadia in 3 regions when we have 10 youth resource centers that have been abandoned for a long time, Minister?
Where are the 10 youth centers? There's like this 3 regions are regions that do not have any sports facilities. And so the focus is to give them facility.
Are these new regions?
These are new regions. They are not existing regions. Regions already having some. So, recently some regions were created, and some of them do not have any sporting facility.
So the ones you are giving are what?
They are going
Is
to
it Western North?
I think what I did was to allocate the resources to the ministers for the minister for sports
Discretion.
to choose which region.
He's from Oti, so I'm sure the first one will be Oti.
I will
Second one
not
will
be
be
the
Western
person.
North.
Yes.
And then the third maybe we have for something.
Exactly.
I
So
see.
we have 6 regions, and there is another region, an existing old region that doesn't have one. I think it's Upper East region that doesn't have one. So there are 7 in all.
Okay.
And I think Volta region also doesn't have a sports stadium. Or they
The whole stadium is now
There's a whole
white
stadium.
elephant.
Okay.
There's
So-
nothing there.
Minister,
that's
on
the
the
stadium.
Agenda 111 hospitals, you mentioned that 10 will be completed.
Correct.
Some are asking the criteria for the selection, and if the others, there's commitment that the others will be completed as well.
Okay.
When?
So this particular administration, this is our first year in office. We're going to second year. So if you had to do 10, 10, 10, at least you can finish 30.
Okay.
Okay. And so there's a plan to finish up to 30 or even more, depending on resources. So next year, for example, if I'm to get more money, I can increase the allocation for them to finish 15 or 20. But today, I can allocate 10.
Okay.
The Minister of Education, when I discussed with him, the Minister of Health, the plan is to identify those that are almost completed and finish up to 10, and also some in areas of pressing need. So this will be the criteria that he will use in selecting it. But again, I do not select for the ministers.
Okay.
I do the allocation, and it's for the sector minister who knows the sector to be able to select to support.
Bernard, the early career pharmacists say they are excited at the candor with which you are addressing issues, and they are saying that if they had had this for a while, they wouldn't have been as disillusioned as they've been in the past. But the Minister of Health indicated that there's a backlog of about 70,000 health professionals over the last 4 years. And can you share specific allocations for permanent recruitment for, say, pharmacists, nurses, doctors?
I share their concern. I mean, it's quite a lot. I can't employ 70,000 in 1 year. Okay, I'll break the budget. Compensation or wages and salaries will control the national purse. So I have to do it sustainably and in a way that will not move the burden from just increasing the payroll to something else. So I'm trying to do that. I've given a quota, we'll work around it, and we'll announce it in detail. I should not be the one to be announcing, and I'm sure the minister
I have
will.
5 minutes to go, so I have a few questions. Your growth, or our growth, has largely done well because of gold and cocoa prices. So if those prices collapse, where is the growth going to come from?
Okay, so that is why I'm diversifying the economy. For now, the prices are doing well. We've checked the projections going into the medium term, and we are very comfortable, particularly with gold, and also comfortable around cocoa. But we are diversifying the economy, and I announced the oil palm development strategy, and to add oil palm to cocoa, so that we will not only be relying on cocoa. So if you have another cash crop, or another tropical crop that will also do well, then you can obviously, if one goes down, one can survive, and then you can have the oil palm. I think after oil palm, the focus will also move to another crop. We have another tropical crop that is also very profitable, that was doing well, but for some reason was going down. I signaled that government has taken a decision to deal with the export of raw rubber. And then the rubber industry is the second thing that we have to look at, and it has
So these are more
potential
long-term structural.
But in the meantime, palm is
our economy is import
strategy.
dependent.
Yes.
A lot of our local manufacturers complain about cost of electricity and also the availability of cheap imports. This month we've been talking about smuggling of everything into Ghana. The textile industry is collapsing. Even rice farmers can't sell their rice because we are bringing rice, some of which is smuggled into the country. So whatever you're doing, the local producers who create jobs, power costs are killing them, and then cheap imports are drowning them. What are you going to do about those two key things? Because if you want sustainable growth, local production must be supported. What's your comment?
Okay. Ben, you're so right. Smuggling is a concern. Beginning 2026, we are going to the Ghana Revenue Authority, led by the Customs and particularly the Preventive Division. We are going to launch nationwide assault on smuggling to protect local industries. Smuggling affects a country in many ways. You export jobs, you lose revenue and all. We will have to find a way to stop the smuggling one way or the other. The best way to deal with it is when you catch them, don't give them their goods. Confiscate it and sell it. If they lose their working capital, 1, 2, the information will go out there and people will stop. It got to stop, because smuggling is not helping anyone. It is not making the work of local businesses surviving. For example, in areas of palm oil, we are spending 500 million United States dollars, its equivalent, to develop a palm industry. Today, if you develop the palm industry and you don't fight smuggling, it will not succeed. And so we have to fight smuggling. And that is why I also announced that I'm going to add the edible oil as part of the sizable tax scheme, so that we'll have a tax stamp on it, so that you can be able to distinguish between what has been smuggled in and what has not been smuggled in, and many others. But we'll have a plan to do a plan on how to tackle smuggling, and I'm sure you'll see that beginning next year.
In the last year budget, you promised in paragraph 277 that the road toll will be reintroduced this year. I don't think it has been, and I didn't hear you mention it in the next budget.
It hasn't been reintroduced, and but they have finished the concept. They have agreed on when to introduce it, and I'm sure the Minister for Roads and Highways will complete the process before the year end, so that beginning next year, it will start. But they've gone through the selection and all, and I think they are ready to begin the road tolling.
Bernard, the National Apprenticeship Program, there are 10,000 beneficiaries. This year, you're looking to increase it by 100,000. But I understand that you've also slashed their budget by 50%.
Oh, I've not slashed their budget. I've given them, I think we gave them 170 million cedis or so. So that's not a slash of 50%.
When will we talk to you again? You've said many things. You've promised many things. And so today is 14th November. When should we come back to check how it's going?
Okay, I'll be back mid-year, next year. So next year, now I need time to go and implement my policies. And 6 months down the line, I'll be able to come to you.
So around June?
Around, I think July. I'll go to Parliament around first, second week in July. And after that, I'll come
hopefully
and see.
no major exogenous shock drives you to come here. Like maybe some gold price collapse or something. Because there are always exogenous things that affect economies. Yeah. So hopefully nothing happens that forces you to come back to say you have to reallocate or something.
Touchwood will be fine.
We'll be fine.
By the grace of God.
we couldn't ask all the questions, but thank you for coming. I'm sure you'll go to other places and they'll listen there. I really appreciate your time.
I enjoy coming to you.
It's a good pleasure to have you. Thank you for speaking to us. Kazelatu Forson is the MP for Ejumako Inyan Esiam and also the Minister for Finance. Acting Defense Minister.
Please,
by the way, when would
can I say hello to my constituents? It's been a while.
Then say it in fancy.
But maybe if you and say,
I
wanted to say that. Say Anya Road now. Say what?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that was Kazelatu Forson. When we come back, we have a big surprise with Vivo. Stay tuned. It's getting exciting.
This is the City Breakfast Show.